right, good afternoon. This is the March 10th meeting of the Design and Project Review Committee. Is there a motion to suspend the rules?
I'll make a motion to suspend the rules to allow member participation either electronically or by telephone.
Is there a second?
A second.
All right, Michael Griffith, please call the roll.
Nyden,
Aye.
Gertis,
Aye.
Biggs,
Aye.
Cano,
Aye.
Eckersberg,
Aye.
Vanetta,
Aye.
Tristan,
Aye.
Hank,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Sterling.
Aye.
All right, great. Next item of business is approval of the meeting minutes of March 3rd. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes.
Second.
All right, Michael Griffith, please call the roll.
Nyden, Nyden, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Nyden, can I hear you? Can't hear you.
You guys hear me?
Gertis,
Now we can hear you.
Aye.
Biggs,
Aye.
Cano,
Aye.
Eckersberg,
Aye.
Vanetta,
Aye.
Tristan,
Aye.
Hank,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
and Sterling.
Aye.
Great, motion passes. Next up is 1410 New Business Greenleaf Street, preliminary and final review. Laszlo Simovic, applicant, submits for a building permit to construct a new 2-story building with an office, residential live workspace, and a second dwelling on the second floor with an attached 3-car garage in the B1 district. Mr. Simovic, are you on the call?
Actually, it's Al Belmonte. I'll be handling the presentation instead of Laszlo.
All right, why don't you walk us through what the proposal here is?
The existing 2-flat that's on the site now was just deemed to be too expensive to rehab. So we began to look at alternatives for redeveloping the site. And the proposal we came up with was maintaining compliance with the B1 guidelines. Front part of the lot would be developed as a 2-story office building connected by a 1-story connection to what we call the middle building or the center building, which is a combination office and residential, more live-work space. I should footnote this would be my personal residence. My intention was to move there. We've lived in the neighborhood for 40 years. Recently sold a house 20 feet south of this on Wesley. And our plan was to transition from that house to a new house on Greenleaf. So having said that, moving along, the final component of the site was the 3-car garage with the apartment above, which again would be for personal use, not for rental or temporary B&B type occupancy. It's primarily for us to use in our family.
Are there any questions from staff?
So my only comment would be, I know that you're in for permit here. So a separate permit is going to be needed for the demolition of that existing 2-flat. I don't see record of that.
Right, and I've signed a contract with Evanston Rebuilding Warehouse, and we're actually going to pull the permit. There's a lot of steps we have to do in order to pull the permit for demo, but that's the plan, would be to retain them as the demolition company.
Okay, all right, they're very familiar with the process, so that's
Oh,
good.
yeah. Yeah, no, I've met with them several times. We've scoped it out, and we intend to, obviously, the intent was to reuse as much or reclaim as much of the existing home as possible.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
How would waste management be handled at this building?
There's an area off the back near the garage, which would be for our containers, basically.
And are you anticipating having like just the regular rolling garbage cans or an actual dumpster?
No dumpster, just the standard city carts. We have we designed a 10-foot swath on, so to speak, on the west side of the property, which would allow for storage of the containers and the carts.
Laura, do you have a particular concern, or were you just getting clarification?
I was just getting clarification. I mean, I guess the concern is just that when you're talking about having a commercial office space, and it looks like in order for the people at the office space to get rid of their waste, they have to walk through the building and to the garage and then.
Well, there's a 10-foot, actually a little bit more, but it's about a 10-foot landscape path, if you will, on the west side of the lot, and that'll be a landscape path all the way to the back of the property, and they'll be able to access that right off of the courtyard that opens into their space. And again, it's intended for my personal use, so I don't anticipate any issue with me taking the garbage out, because I do it anyway.
And then because this is a partial commercial building, there is not the same requirement for impervious surface, correct? I guess that's more of a question for staff.
We've prepared civil engineering drawings with the intent to comply with the impervious surface requirements. So we will make sure of that.
All right, any other questions or comments?
I have a comment. Did someone else want to speak, or should
Go
I?
ahead, Kate.
Okay. I know you said it was compliant with the zoning code. I do have some concerns with the relationship of the scale of this building, the ratio of the building to the open space on the lot. It seems out of character for this business district, and then additionally the residential district to the north. It really consumes about the entire lot, and I wondered if it could be a little bit smaller footprint. It would be more contextual. I had similar concerns with the material selection. It's just really out of context with some really nice traditional masonry commercial buildings in this business district. It just seems like the front-facing facade lacks really a lot of relief compared to some of the existing buildings. And I wondered if you could comment on that.
Well, again, having lived in the neighborhood for 40 years, I understand what you're saying. It immediately across the street from the site is, I think it's 1411 Greenleaf. It's it's basically 100% lot line to lot line, including the structure that's on the site and the paving. And so, in some regards, I think it is consistent with what's in the area. My neighbor to the east, Russell, he has his cello studio on the ground floor of the building. And if you look at the footprint of his lot, it's not dissimilar to what I'm proposing. He has a coach house in the back. His 2-flat extends all the way almost to the coach house. He's got a small yard in the center. And, you know, again, it is to some degree, I agree, it's not consistent style-wise or material-wise, but it is consistent with the type of use that's in that area. The building on the corner, 1400 Greenleaf, that is lot line to lot line, 1-story commercial. And it looks commercial, and the materials that have been on that building for now 40 years, because I know when we moved in there, that was a masonry 1-story storefront type building, and then they covered it with board and batten pine siding. Yes, this is a newer material. I'm personally, I like it. I looked at brick. We looked at metal panels, and the Hardy board, I think, is probably one of the best products out there now for exterior cladding. It doesn't match Dick Peach's 2-flat to the west of me. That's a standard everyday run-of-the-mill 2-flat masonry 2-flat. It is different. It's no different than what Andy Spatz built on Main Street with standing seam metal panels. I prefer this over the standing seam metal panel look.
Is it, Al, is it a fiber cement cladding or is it a metal cladding?
No, it's a fiber cement cladding.
Okay. Can you speak to the windows? Are those fully transparent?
Yes, they are.
Okay. And they'll remain so during, I know some issue with first floor office is that when people are in business, the shades are shut almost the entire day.
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, you know, the photographer in the corner, you shot some for obvious reasons. You don't want light bleeding in all the time. Personally, I like the light. It's northern, you know, exposure. It's not going to be direct sunlight all day long. Quite honestly, that's one of the appeals for having all glass on that facade.
And then my last point I'll make is just after kind of business hours, if there's a way to add some kind of illumination to that storefront, whether it's interior or exterior, that just adds some life and vibrancy to that. District.
That's my intent. In fact, it doesn't show up very well on this drawing, but there's a metal canopy that extends above the double entry door, and we will have lighting there. I don't want it to be garish, but yeah, the intent is definitely to have lighting there.
Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to ask, I'm not clear on the current property is occupied or not, because I'm trying to figure out, it's subject to the demolition tax, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Just wanted to check. Thank you.
Yep. Just keep adding to the bill.
All right, other comments or questions? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion?
Make a positive recommendation for preliminary and final review.
I'll second.
Please call the roll.
Naiden,
Aye.
Curtis,
Aye.
Biggs,
Aye.
Cano,
Aye.
Eckersberg,
Aye.
Vanetta,
Aye.
Kristen,
Aye.
Heinck,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Sterling.
No.
All right, ayes have it. The item passes. All right, next up, 2030 Greenwood Street, recommendation of Plan Commission and ZBA. This Bohan Artunovic. Applicant submits for a map amendment to rezone property from the I-2 General Industrial District to the MXE Mixed Use Employment District, and major variations for 24 units, 18 regular units, plus 4 IHO bonus units, where 22 dwelling units are permitted and a building height of 4 stories at 38 feet, where 3 stories at 41 feet is permitted. Bohan, why don't you walk us through what the proposal is?
Hi, everyone.
Josh.
I'm Josh Gross. I'm actually going to be walking you through this real quick, if that's okay. Would it be possible for me to share my screen? Is that okay?
Sure, you can share your screen.
Okay, perfect. I'll take you guys through this. Switch. Okay, you guys can see this okay?
Yes, we can.
Perfect, perfect. So, like I said, my name is Josh Gross. I've got Boyne with me as well. Boyne, you there? Yeah, he's got it. He's on mute. He's good. We're good. So, just want to thank everyone for your time today. Appreciate you guys letting us present. So, like I said, I'll be taking you through the proposed building that we're looking to develop on 2030 Greenwood Street. To get started, there we go. To get started, we'll take you kind of just as an overview of what we're planning to do. So the overall goal is to build a multi-story 24-unit apartment complex. This 24 units will be built up of 3 one-bedroom units, 21 two-bedroom units. Of those 24 units, we plan to have 2 IHO affordable housing units, as well as 2 ADA accessible units. One thing we're very proud of and want to just kind of call out is that there's a difference between adaptable and accessible. These will be accessible, grade level, wheelchair accessible units, which we're, like I said, very excited about. Going into the overall size of the building, we're looking to do a building that's going to be just over 9,500 square feet. The overall area, including our parking garage and building A and building B, will total just over 36,000 square feet. We're very excited about the 39 on-site completely covered parking spots we'll be building. And just to kind of give some conceptualization of the size of the apartments themselves, we're looking at about 600 square feet a unit, ranging to, on the higher side, 1,250 square feet. And to kind of get an idea on rent, we're looking between $2 and $2.25 per square foot. Obviously, with new construction, we're very excited about the opportunity to bring a eco-friendly and energy-efficient building to the neighborhood. As we go on, so I hope everyone's familiar with the site. If not, this is kind of just a screenshot, a snippet, so you can kind of see what the current state of the property. It's a 25,000 square foot unoccupied, unused lot. Here is a kind of an overview from the top, so you can kind of see the area that we are in and where the site will be going. So now we get into the fun stuff. So renderings and landscaping. So when it came time to build this new construction, or when it comes time to build and design new construction, our goal is to always build something that's current, up to date, technologically relevant, but always taking into consideration the neighborhood that we're coming into. And one thing we really wanted to do was capture the charm and the traditionalism that you see in our neighboring buildings and neighboring residents. So without further ado, I show you our front-facing facade. This would be the building A. So this is will be visible from Greenwood. So this is, like I said, building A. This would be housing our 6 units. So we'd have our 3 single-bedroom units on the west side, and then our 3 two-bedroom units on the east side. One thing that's very important for us is greenery. I'm a green thumb myself. One thing you'll see throughout this entire presentation is our focus on greenery, trees, grass, bushes, plants, things of that nature, all to really tie in with the overall decor of the building and the overall aesthetics of the whole property. So as we move on to the additional renderings, just want to give you a quick little tour. So on the west side of the building, which you can't really see from this angle, we've got a long pathway. This is going to get you to the back of building A and give you access to building B. On the east side is where we're going to have our driveway. So if we take a stroll down their driveway, so here you'll see this is building A that we were just at, and we're driving down. This would be the entire footprint of building B. So building B will house 18 units, all 2-bed, 2-bath units. is constructed of 3 buildings. So you have these 3 vestibules right here, which will give you access to 6 units, 3 on each side. All of our parking, as mentioned, is completely covered. That will all be housed on that first floor. And then we've got our 3 additional floors on top of that, which is where all of our apartments will be. Again, going back to the greenery, our entire property line along this side will be covered with trees, plants, bushes, just lots of greenery. We want to make it very warm and welcoming for not only our residents, but also our neighbors when they pass by. The greenery will also extend to the back of the property as well. Now we're on the east side, the west side of the property facing east. So this is, again, we're looking at building B, so that building on the south side of the property. This will be the front end of that. So on that first slide on building A, what I mentioned, we have that pathway on the west side. This is that pathway that extends all the way down. So this is how residents will get access to their units from the front end. But also in addition to that, we're very happy. We're gonna be putting in benches and a gazebo in the back. And one thing we want to say is we're not going to have any fences. We're not going to have any gates. This is going to be open, and it's going to be open to the public. So if our neighbors want to access this property to take a stroll, walk their dog, whatever the case may be, this is definitely going to be open for them to take advantage of, because we want to put a good investment into the property and the courtyards and the walking space. So we want to make sure everyone's taking full advantage of that area. This is going to be an elevated view. So again, this is Greenwood Street right here. This is that driveway that we went down on that first slide. You can see we've got building A in the front, building B in the back. So lots of space. And again, just for rendering purposes, you can see the cars kind of poking out, but the size of this building will allow us to have these cars completely covered. So unless you're looking for them or driving down, you will not have any visualization of cars or anything of that nature. And then here is the same view from that opposite angle. We did this so you can really see the amount of greenery that grows down that west side, the amount of greenery in the front. Again, just really want to make a warm, welcoming place for, again, the residents, but also the neighbors as they drive by and walk past. So now as we go into the material breakdown, as I mentioned, we want to create something that's unifying and also has that traditionalism, but also is up to date and modern. So the goal is to do something, in tones that are the traditional feel, but also create those modern pulls. So we've got 2 types of veneer brick. We've got the goal is to use a red natural color, which is separated by a contrast stone, which will be on the darker side. We do that so that we can hopefully accent the windows and the darker railings, balconies and doors that we're going to be putting in. The doors will all be made of aluminum, along with our guardrails. We've used aluminum guardrails in the past on past projects, and they've held up very well over time, very easy to maintain, very easy to repaint should they get scuffed or nicked or whatever the case may be. Our siding, our doors and windows will all be made of vinyl. The goal is to keep this energy efficient, so we want to make sure that these are sealed tight, make sure they do not let cold air seep out in the summer, cold air seep in the winter. And then it's a little hard to see from here, but we'll get a better image on the next picture. With all the brick, with all the stone, it can sometimes be very heavy. So what we want to do is kind of break it up with more of a natural feel with some wood. So we've got a darker stained wood throughout the balconies. And then as we go on to building B, which you can see much better, we're going to accent the building with these wood paneling. You'll see that on the side of the building, as well as on each of the vestibule on both sides. So it's just a nice way of changing it up. Brick and stone can sometimes be very heavy on the eye, so this is just that nice way of creating some contrast without adding too much weight. Now we'll go into the site plans. So these are our architectural drawings. As you can see here, this is that building A that we keep talking about, and then followed by building B. This is the driveway that will come down. This is that west side where we'll have that front access to the to building B. Again, we've got the gazebos, the walkways, the benches. Here's that same drawing with just the emphasis on the greenery that we're going to be bringing in. And then a new addition that we just developed and got finished up this week. I want to share with you guys. Is this new rendering coming through? Yep, okay.
Yes, it
perfect.
is. Yes, we can see it.
Excellent. So this is from our civil engineer, just another take on the property. So this is kind of just the property as is now, existing condition. And then here is an additional site plan that's showing curbs and gutters and additional layouts. But the part that I just wanted to show you guys, and I don't know if Melissa passes through to everybody, but this is our grading and utility plan. So we've got all of this set in place, which kind of shows the flow of water and how everything's going to be drained and the basically the overall utility and grading of the building. So we can go into this in further detail if you guys need to, or we can definitely distribute this for you guys to review at a later date.
If you don't have anything else to present, why don't we pause there and maybe go back to the site plan and we can start asking questions.
Okay, there was a few things I want to just go over of elevation, if that's okay.
It's fine.
Okay, cool. So the next thing is the elevation, because I know this was coming up at the end. So the cool thing about this is because we do have those two buildings, building A is actually going to be 30 feet tall. So we've got 3 stories because it does not have that parking garage underneath it. So it's going to be on the shorter side. If we look back through that building into building B, which does have the garage, we've got we're coming in at under 41 feet at 40 feet. So that's something that we're very excited about. So it won't be anything too overwhelming. Here's that same view with some trees and some greenery. Here is the west elevation, so of building B. So again, the parking garage will come up to this line right here. Get my so this is where the parking garage will come up to, and then we've got floor 2, floor 3, floor 4 that will be our apartment units. Same thing with some greenery. Here's that opposite side, so you can kind of see where the height comes into play. So again, parking garage, and then 3 floors of apartments. Do you want to go over floor plans?
I think we're okay to not go over floor plans.
Okay,
I think I want
that's
to,
fine.
this group can talk a little bit more about site issues.
Okay, perfect. Then where would you like me to?
Why don't you go back to a site plan and we'll start maybe with the outside
Okay.
public works if you have any comments on this.
Yeah, comment would be, where would the refuse collection be taking place from? And will there be enough room for a refuse truck to turn inside, or will they have to back up on the drive? Again, just being mindful of your cars coming out of blind parking spots like that.
Yeah, so all of our trash will be located on this east side of the building. We've got a 20-foot wide drive. Way so
Josh, I think you're breaking up a little bit.
I'm breaking up.
Yes.
Oh, is it better now? I can try.
I would suggest maybe just turning your video off. That sometimes helps with the audio.
Okay. Let me. Am I better?
Yes.
Sarkos?
Still no?
I hear you.
Okay.
You're good.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, so pertaining to the trash, so we've got that 20-foot wide driveway, which does meet the code. Our trash will be located in, as of right now, 2 areas, right here and right here. Due to the amount of tenants we're having, we're not looking for a massive dumpster. We don't think we're going to be going through that much trash. So we should be able to fit a pretty size, considerable size dumpsters in these 2 spots and be able to get that picked up and removed without any issues.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Another concern here would just be for snow removal. Private entities aren't able to push any snow from private property onto the city right-of-way or city property. So do you have a plan of what you would do with the snow from within your drive and property?
You broke up slightly. I think the question was snow removal, correct?
Correct, snow removal. Do you have a
Okay.
place that you would be storing it, or will you be hauling
Yeah,
it
so
out?
the idea is obviously these last couple of weeks we had more snow than anyone knew what to do with. In typical fashion, the idea would be to push, if we have an inch or two of snow, to push that along this eastern side and then store the balance in the back. If it did get to a point where it was overwhelming and too much for us to hold and allow our residents to enter and exit their parking garages, especially on the south end right here. Part of our business is actually a loading and hauling company. So if it got to a point where we couldn't do anything, we would send a truck, we'd load it up and haul the snow away at our own expense to bring it to a facility where it can be stored indoors, melted. And then if we needed to go back the next day or remaining, we can take care of all that.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Josh, just be aware that's going to be reflected in the minutes. So we will hold you to that when we have another big snowfall someday. And if you
Wouldn't say it if it wasn't true. Don't worry.
Other questions, Public Works staff?
I have a question. Actually, I have a couple. So that landscaping on the east side, that's going to be right up against the property line and right up against the building to the east side. How's that going to be impacting their structure, and how are they going to maintain that?
So this will all be, the goal is to go obviously right up to our property line. The types of trees and types of plants that we're going to be putting in there are going to be put in with the goal of not obstructing access to their building. I know they need access. It's a Mason building. So if they need to do tuck pointing at any point or anything like that, we have to give them a certain amount of allowance for them to access their building, just as we would want if it was the other way around. So the idea is not to create anything that's too overwhelming, where they would not be able to have that access, whether it's either creating a drop or having to put ladders up or whatever the case may be. So we will be working with an architectural landscape architecture, I should say, to make sure that we're putting stuff that is conducive for the area and allowing us to work freely, as well as our neighbors to the east. And with that said, to the west.
So on where the driveway is at up on Greenwood and also on the west property line, there's two large cottonwood trees there. So looking at this, it looks like both of those trees are going to be coming out.
Let me just make sure. So picture, sorry. So as of right now, the plan is this tree will most likely need to come down to make room for our driveway. But other than that, we have no plan to tear down any other trees. We want to keep them. This tree in the back will most likely need to be trimmed. But the goal as of right now and what we've seen is that it does not affect our building plans in any way and does not need to be removed.
So you're keeping the landscaping what's currently there on the west side then?
That is the goal. Yes, sir. Any other questions we can answer?
Yeah, hi. I have a couple of questions with regards to the parking.
Okay.
So with regards to the parking, are the spaces going to be inclusive of, are they going to be offered with each rental unit, or is there going to be charged a separate fee for parking spaces?
So it's a great question. We actually just spoke about that yesterday. Right now, the plan is to have a very minimal fee for parking to almost incentivize people not to park. Because we do know, based on past meetings that we've had in the ward back in February, we do know parking is an issue in this area. And with the way things are going right now, people are working from home, people are working remotely. Obviously, a lot of companies are imposing 3-day work weeks, or don't even come to the office anymore. So if we can incentivize people to not have cars and utilize public transportation and utilize bikes or whatever the case may be, we're hoping that small fee will come into play, so that way we can have as little parking as possible. We'd rather have too much parking available than not enough, but that is something that we literally just talked about a couple of days ago.
Okay, I'm just worried about is that if the fee is too high, people will still retain vehicles. They just won't opt to lease the space from you, and they'll be looking for spaces in the arterial streets in the neighborhood?
No, this is going to be, if it is a fee, it will be very, very minimal. We didn't come up with an exact dollar amount, but it won't be anything astronomical. I mean, just comparison, I know city parking could be like $200, $250 a month. This will be nowhere near that. Maybe $100 on the high side. But again, it's not to, it's to incentivize people to kind of eliminate the car in general, not to not park in our parking lot. We want to make it inclusive for our residents and make it convenient, not to not have them park at all.
Okay, and then on the property, is there going to be any visitor parking spaces at all, or no?
Yeah, so if you look right here, this is building B. This is where a bulk of our parking spaces are going to take place. So this is actually going to be tandem parking. So the idea right now is every unit will actually have 2 parking spaces, a residential parking spot and then a visitor spot. So the residents will have the parking spots all the way to the west of the building. And then the idea is that their visitors can come and go as they need and use that second spot.
Okay, perfect. And then lastly, I'm kind of concerned with the size that you cited for the parking spaces at 120 square feet and SUVs being able to fit within those spaces.
So are you concerned about the height or more width?
Both.
Okay. So one thing about the height, we did talk with our architect, and if it did come into it and we needed to adjust the height of the garage, we could do that and take some off, because we do have, basically, if you look at our elevation, we're planning on 10-foot ceilings for floor 1 and floor 2. So if we did need to add some more space for that first floor, that's definitely something that we have some wiggle room on. And then as far as width goes, everything we have right now seems to be working. We've used these spaces with other properties that we've had the same size, and we haven't had any issues, but it's definitely something we can look into, should it be a continued concern.
Okay, so the width, what is the width exactly for the record, or the spaces? Is that like a step 7 by 17?
That up real quick. It looks like, the width is going to be 8 feet 7 inches.
And the length?
The length is going to be 19.6.
Okay, great. All right, thank you. That's all I have. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Just to follow up on that, I'm not seeing accessible spaces here. You're providing accessible units, but I'm not seeing accessible parking.
Yes, sir. Those are actually going to be located right here behind building A. So we're going to be having our accessible units in building A on the first floor. So they will have their parking spots right behind the building. So they'll have access right by this vestibule right here.
Okay. Another question here. Your brick, is that going to be a modular brick, or are you going to be using kind of a brick precast panel?
Boyan, you want to step in on the material?
Hi there. Yeah, so we are planning on doing veneer brick, right? Josh, if you want to scroll to the page, the plan is to, do you hear me?
Yes.
The plan is to use a veneer brick with the accents of the wooden panels.
Okay, but I guess my question is: it going to be a typical brick, or is it going to be a panel that is applied?
It will be a typical brick panels, correct? So they'll come in pieces.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
And then final is just a comment. So on this project, we would require a construction management plan that pretty much the management and logistics of the project that would have to be in place prior to any construction activity.
Of course, we can provide you with a total plan with everything, how we're going to start from the beginning, with all the contractors parking, with construction sites, fencing, signage. Just the safety is always first priority before we start anything else.
Okay.
You know?
And I can provide you some recent ones that have been used.
Of course, we would love to. We would love to do that. Yep, definitely.
Could you address the water service to the complex here? Are you going to have a mechanical room in one building, or what are your intentions for the water service?
So David, each building is designed, each condo is, they're designed, their apartments are designed, but every unit is individually designed. So each unit will have its own water heat, and but most likely I believe in the building A, there's a mechanical room, and then you're going to have one in the building B. But we have to work on that yet with the architect, with the engineer, and everybody else.
Okay, we'll have to check, the water department, how many meters will be allowed here. If it's just 1 or 2, we'll have to check on that, so.
I believe, if I'm correct, there will be 2. One for the building A and one for the building B.
Thank you.
Of course, thank you.
I want to ask a few questions about the materials that you're proposing. I don't know, maybe I didn't hear it, but I never got an answer to Gary's question. What is the size of the brick veneer?
So brick veneers usually come foot by foot. And we have not gone far enough to actually pick materials, but we'll definitely provide you with exact sizes and thicknesses of materials. Usually they're about 1 inch thick by 1 foot wide, and it's a square.
So I think the rendering's a little misleading in that aspect. That's certainly not what it's going to look like. I mean, what you're showing is more of a standard or a modular brick in the rendering, and that's certainly not a 1 foot.
Right. So we have to work on that. We did not get that far because of the process that we are working in right now, but we're definitely going to show you the exact sizes and the exact materials that we are going to be using.
Okay, I think in general, my comment on the materials is it's probably, in my opinion, it's just a little, I would say it lacks kind of a common design vocabulary. It's a little chaotic in my mind. I don't know that it needs to be this complicated. I think it can be the palette can be simplified. Things that I would point out is I don't know the 2 different tones of the veneer brick. I don't know that that's really necessary. I'm also not certain, did I see on there, like, what is the material for the water table or the base? Is there a stone? Is that a stone material in one of the renderings?
For the bottoms?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For the bottoms is going to be brick as well.
Okay, I thought I saw stone in one of the renderings.
Stone, there's a stone accent in the middle, correct?
Yeah. And then it seems like some of the doors are vinyl, some are aluminum, all the windows are vinyl. Can you explain why they aren't the same material?
So the aluminum doors will be the entry doors and the side doors. Vinyl doors will be the patio balconies and the windows. So the main entry doors and the side entry doors will be aluminum. Isolated doors, and the balcony patios along with the windows will be vinyl.
And then in the rendering, you show the windows as having a divided light. Is that a simulated divided light? Or is that
they will be cracked windows
between the glass?
They will be cracked windows. They won't be sliding up or down. They'll be on a crack.
No. I mean, you show a division in the number of lights in those windows. Is it a simulated divided light where it looks like a divided light, or is it?
Josh, can I see that? Can we see the screen of what he's referring to? Okay, which one do you? Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, Kate, keep in mind, this is just rendering. I really wanted to have some aspect just to show how the building will look. I see what you're saying. They will be cracked windows where they're opening, and they'll be all identical.
So there probably won't be any division. I mean, like that bottom, you're showing a double window, and it looks like it's a 1, 2, 3. It's got 5 divided.
No, it will be just one window opening each side, each way.
So it won't have any grills in between. Okay.
No, definitely not.
And then can you talk a little, it looks like some of the windows are inset and some are...
They will all be inset. It's just a rendering.
Okay.
Yep, sorry about that.
My last question is the wood paneling. Is that actual wood?
It's a hardy board. It's a hardy board.
So it's a fiber cement. Is it a lap
Correct.
siding?
It will be hardy boards. Yes. I'm sorry.
Is it a lap siding or is it like a wood?
It is a lap siding. Correct.
Okay. And you don't know the exposure of that currently? Hasn't been determined?
I have not gone that far. No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
But we'll determine that, and we'll most likely use the most efficient that's available.
Okay. Well, let's as you work further through that, let's just continue to have conversations about.
Of course. And on architectural drawings, we will have all these details planned out. I just did not go that far yet. I wanted to go through the meetings. Obviously, I did actually hire an engineer just to talk about a little bit water management. So that was the one that I really wanted to get to know how that's going to be flowing. So, but for the windows, everything is going to be inset. Vinyl works the best from what I've seen so far because of the longevity, because of the care of them, and the maintenance, and obviously the the efficiency.
Mm-hmm. Did you consider a fiberglass window, like a Fibrex product?
I could definitely take a look at it. Yeah.
Okay.
I could definitely take a look at it. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
So I would recommend that our approval is contingent on further material study, because I think it looks nice, but I don't know what this 1x1 square of veneer looks like. And I think we need to, if we were in person, like I've said this at a lot of meetings lately, we would be able to see the material, look at it, and understand how it would look and feel like a brick, or if it didn't. So I think we do need to make arrangements to see the material, because this is a pretty large project, and would want any motion to move forward that it conditions on that the materials are not approved, and that we would want to see more detail.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. That's not a problem.
And then I have a question. How are you handling deliveries? How will somebody orders Amazon? How is it delivered?
So everything will be on the site map. If you show the site map, all the materials will be handled inside our property. That's our plan, where we're going to be pouring gravel and working through the process there. So
Bohan, I'm talking about if somebody's now residing at the property and has ordered something. Gary will work with you on the materials for the construction, but how is it being handled for residents when they want to have something delivered? Are there directions to get to the back units? Are Amazon vehicles? I can just imagine with this many units, there could be a number of Amazon vehicles or other delivery vehicles, food delivery, et cetera.
So my plan is that Amazon, UPS, USPS, everybody parks in front, and they don't start accessing inside, because they'll start getting congested. Where they're going to be start leaving parking their car in front and delivering. Josh, unless you want to jump in.
Sorry, guys. I'm having some technical. There we go. Yeah, I think what we talked about is the goal is to, obviously UPS, Amazon, you get these recurring drivers, and the goal would be to instruct them to actually leave these packages inside the corresponding vestibules. Obviously, they're not going to be making door-to-door deliveries, nor do they do that in larger apartment complexes. So that would be the goal. So each apartment would be numbered appropriately. They would have access to the appropriate vestibule and be able to leave the packages on that first floor.
So where are they leaving their vehicle when they go do that?
They would be, you got to think if they're driving if they're utilizing that third vestibule in the back of Unit B, I don't know how friendly you are with your UPS driver. My driver does not walk more than 2 feet out of the way that they need to. So they will be driving onto our property. They will not be parking on the street because most importantly, there actually isn't street parking for them. Those diagonal spots in front are typically always occupied. So they'll have to drive down our driveway to get access into park.
So then I would want to make sure that there's proper signage included in this, as well as demarcated parking spaces for those deliveries to occur.
Yeah. We can create like lines for UPS, basically delivery parking. So that way they have an ongoing access. And typically these guys come at the similar times each day. So once we get into a routine, we'll be able to train these guys to know, guys and girls, where they're supposed to be accessing.
Well, I would love to live where you live because my deliveries definitely never come at the same time every day. So. All right, any other questions or comments?
I have one last question. This is a recommendation to the zoning board. I don't know that we even discussed the requested zoning relief. Can you talk about that?
The relief, I mean, basically all we're asking for is basically the rezoning from that I-2 to the MXE. Is that what you're talking about?
You're not requesting any major variations. I saw something about building height. Is that not accurate?
So it's let me see what it is exactly. So it's not building height. So technically the zoning is 3 stories at 41. We're actually going to be under that. We're just going to be 4 stories. So we don't, does that require variance or just kind of a call out?
I think it's typically the minimum of, it's the lesser of the 2. So I believe that would trigger a variation request. I think it was in the agenda, unless I'm wrong, Michael, but I thought there was a couple.
Right, it is in the agenda. When we were speaking with Melissa, she made it sound like it was more just like this needed to be discussed, it wasn't actually a variance. I could have that wrong, but essentially what we are, with the parking garage, so that we could have all those 39 spots hidden and actually increase it from that 28 originally proposed to the 39. We brought the building height from 30 feet to 40 feet, which is still under the 41 feet, but now we're four stories instead of 3.
Okay, that's helpful. Thanks.
Okay.
Correct. We confirmed this with the architect and Melissa.
Is there bike parking on site?
The goal is to have bike racks
be
in the back of the building, on the back of the property. And then also because of every unit having 2 parking spots, if they don't have a parking spot, or because again, we haven't determined if we're going to be charging for parking or not. If we do allocate a spot per apartment, they can utilize their parking space for bike parking or additional types of transportation.
There will be bike hangers inside the garage. There will be 2 to 3 bike racks that you'll be able to hang your bikes.
Any other comments or questions?
Yeah, Johanna, real quick, if I'm not mistaken, I thought they mentioned they would be pushing some snow over to the east curb. I just want to remind them that they have to keep the trash receptacles clear of snow and access to the receptacles clear of snow as well.
Of course. We dealt with that with we missed 2 weeks of trash pickup in my building here because they couldn't have clean access. So trust me, we've had our experience with that, so we know.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The last thing I'll say is that I did bring up a lot of kind of criticism of the building, but I do commend you on the changes that you made since the first time I saw this. The sighting of the building is much improved.
Yeah, thank you.
The way that it engages the street is a really big improvement.
Thank you. Yeah, we've come a long way since that first rendering.
Well, Kate, thank you very much for working with us as well. You've been extra helpful. You, Joanna, and Melissa, Sarah. So thank you for your time.
Right, any other comments or questions? If not, Laura Biggs, do you have a motion?
I'll make a motion for a positive recommendation to the Planning Commission contingent on future approval of material selection.
Second.
Michael, please call the roll.
Neiden,
Aye.
Gertis,
Aye.
Aye.
Cano,
Yes.
Eckersberg,
Aye.
Vanetta,
Aye.
Tristan,
Aye. Aye.
Mike,
No.
Jones,
Aye.
Sterling.
Aye.
Okay.
Passes. Next up is Dempster Street, Dodge Avenue, Pace Bus Stop, preliminary and final review. Pace applicant submits for a bus shelter panel design review. Actually, I'm sorry, one real quick thing. The item from 2030 Greenwood will be at the ZBA Plan Commission on a joint meeting. Next item is Dempster Street, Dodge Avenue, Pace Bus Stop, preliminary and final review. Pace applicant submits for a bus shelter panel design review at the Dempster Dodge Pace Bus Stop, Pulse Dempster line northeast and southwest corners of the intersection of Dempster Street and Dodge Avenue in the C1 Commercial District. Hello, Paulina. Hello, Stephen. Who is going to talk about this?
I will let Jessica lead the way, and then if there are any questions regarding the specific comments that the Arts Council made, I'd be happy to talk about them.
Yeah, so as part of the Dempster Dodge bus shelter program that PACE is doing as part of the Pace Pulse Dempster line, they offer communities to have a community expression. The city contracted with Ben Blount to do the artwork for the bus shelters. Unfortunately, Ben could not be in attendance today. You'll see the work that he presented to the Arts Council, which received positive feedback. Some items that the Arts Council brought up that were clarified later on were would a bench interfere with the artwork, and a bench will not interfere with the artwork. Everything will be fully visible, and the bench starts below the artwork. Pace limited the colors that could be used to white as it is applied to a film that is placed on the panels, and Steve and Andrew from Pace can speak more to that. And the background will be transparent. And so if you go towards the final slides, you can see what that transparency will look like, kind of in front of Burger King. Ben didn't have the full design of the shelter, but you can see that you can still see through the design so that people can see in and out of the bus shelter. And I'll turn it over for questions.
No questions? Anyone? Jessica, who handles I'm sorry if you said this, who handles graffiti or other scratches or other things to the art in the shelter? Is this Pace or?
Hi, Joanna. I can answer that. This is Steve Andrews with Pace. First, in addition to the artwork that would be applied to the panels, we will also be applying an anti-graffiti film to all of the back panels. So these are polycarbonate transparent panels, and so we'll do a sort of a film art overlay of the artwork, and then also an anti-graffiti film. But in regards to station maintenance, Pace is responsible for maintenance of station elements. So if there were something that needed to be addressed, we would address it, and that will be something that we'll be proposing in an IGA, as a part of our Pulse program with the city. So those types of things would be outlined in such an agreement that we're currently developing.
All right, other questions? All right, If there are no questions, then if somebody would like to make a motion, that would be wonderful.
I'll make a motion for approval of preliminary and final review.
Second.
All right, Michael, please call the roll.
Naiden, Naiden,
I said aye. Did you hear it?
no.
The little microphone
Gertz.
moves when you.
Gertis,
Aye.
Biggs,
Aye.
Cano,
Aye.
Eckersberg,
Aye.
Vanetta,
Aye.
Tristan,
Aye.
Hank,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
and Sterling.
Aye.
All right, great. Eyes have it. That is it for the agenda. Michael Griffith, do we have items for next week?
Yes, we do. We have a couple items next week. I don't have it
It's
up on
okay.
my screen.
You don't need to tell me what they are right now. I just want to,
yeah.
since we've not had meetings kind of regularly, I just want to make everyone aware that we will have a meeting next week then. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Ready? Have a good rest of your day.